Hey, Insiders, we've got a very special guest joining us here today who has recently just graduated from our flagship course, LMA, which is the Life Mastery Achievers. And he's going
Yeah,
to be on here today to share his experience from start to finish and everything in between. So before we dive in, would you mind telling everybody what's your name and where you're currently based, please?
my name is Alan Chang. I am 72, shortly to become 73.
Wow.
Okay. And why did I come to LMA?
Or where you're just based at the moment, where you're currently residing at the in the world.
Oh, I am in Garner, North Carolina.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And I've been
Before
here for almost 2.5 weeks.
Nice, lovely. And before we dive into LMA, I'm just curious to know, Alan, what was the biggest struggle or problem you were facing in your life prior to joining LMA?
All right. My biggest challenge simply evolved from my childhood. I spent 18 years with a woman who unfortunately suffered a botched brain uh, surgery. And not knowing that as a child, I underwent dark moments with her. Some people would classify things like being a POW, um, being isolated, being unable to enjoy relationships, unable to have friends. Those were the guidelines.
Mhm.
Isolation, emotional abuse, physical abuse, things of that nature. That was 18 years of my life until I decided to break away from that. My father had died when I was only 2 years old, so I never knew him.
Mm,
I've only met my mother's family once in my life,
mm, mm,
simply because she was the type of person that if she wanted to move, she would do it in a second. She would just simply say, uh, we're going to move to this state. And in that same day, we were on our way. It was never planned. She would
mm,
just make a decision. We would move somewhere else.
mm, mm.
So it was a very, how is it? I never really had consistency in regards to my life.
Right. And how did that lack of consistency impact your life? How did it make you feel, Alan,
Oh,
from
angry. I was very angry. I was a very angry person.
mm,
But I didn't realize that I was a very angry person.
yeah.
I've always identified myself with two halves,
Mm,
the good half
yeah.
and the dark half.
Mm,
Okay. The
mm,
good half was the guy who who went into the military simply because of another guy said one day, "Hey, you want to join the Navy?" I said, "Sure, why not?"
mm,
I didn't make a decision. I didn't know I was going to join the Navy, but he asked me to join the Navy.
mm,
So I joined the Navy.
mm,
But that was during the Vietnam period. Okay. Fortunately, that was a good decision because otherwise, if I was drafted, which I was on that verge, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
mhm, mm,
Okay. So that was a good show. Um, the dark side, underneath, I've had to encounter other people uh, that were similar to my mother.
mm,
Okay. All of that consisting of betrayal, lies, people using the word love, um, and things of those nature. So I became disillusioned in regards to things of that nature. I began questioning what
mm.
is love because I really have no clue what the love is.
Wow.
What is friendship? I have no clue what friendship is.
Mm,
You know, if someone called me their friend, I would always question, well, why do you call me your friend?
mm,
What is it that I've done for you that you would genuinely call me a friend? Or what have you done that I would call you my friend?
mhm, mhm.
So I began questioning those things.
Right.
I'm just now starting to understand what friendship is.
Beautiful.
Okay, because I have a friend that I met. I used to say help in my old address. I used to wave to him when I used to walk my dog.
Mm.
I used to wave back, and then one day it went little by little, saying hello, and then we started, "How you doing?" And to the point that we have frequent conversations.
Hmm.
But in our conversations, there was something that ignited something in him
Mm.
because now him and his wife want to move in the development where I am
Wow.
simply because I'm here.
Wow.
There's,
Wow.
so there must be something unique that we developed that he would want to come all the way down here,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks for
hang
sharing.
out with me.
Brilliant. And
Okay.
when it comes to LMA, then for you, Alan, what was your main concern that may have prevented you from buying or enrolling in the program? Were you skeptical at all? Were you thinking, what am I getting myself into? And if so, how did you put those limitations and fears to one side and step forward to be here with us?
Oh, that was weird. Uh, because when I started seeing Tim on Facebook,
Hmm.
for some reason he kept popping up.
Hmm.
And I said, well, why does this guy keep popping up on my Facebook? You know, it's not like I clicked in and typed Tim on, but he kept popping up, and popping up. And I said, there must be a reason why he's popping up.
Hmm.
Because in my life, there have been incidents where things tend to pop up. And I would say, there must be a reason for this.
Mm.
And so I clicked on him in YouTube and started listening to the various different conversations that he would put out.
Mm.
So they connected with me simply because I've been on this journey for so long. The good side of me have been going through the self-help programs, reading books in regards to. I think the first book that I ever read was The Magic of Thinking Big
Hmm.
and Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I wanted those things or what I call feelings to be real,
Yeah.
I'm what Tim Hahn would say. You went through these programs, but you never initiated them.
Mm.
Why is it that you never initiated them? The dark side was simply that it was them who would be more initiated. The more successful person
Right.
would be more apt to be successful. I did not see myself in that realm.
Right.
Okay. I didn't consider, I was just an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I've gone through what is, for some people, go to the extreme dark side.
Uh-huh.
And the extreme dark side, not even my daughter knows that how I went to the extreme dark side.
Hmm. Hmm.
And one day when I went through that dark point and I came out of it, I said, I don't understand. I shouldn't be here.
Hmm.
This was my this is what my intention was to remove myself from the face of the earth because of the extreme anger that I had in in being in relationships with other people.
Right.
So, but then and I did it 3 times. But the last time should have worked, but it didn't work. So I asked myself the question: there's something that I must be I that I must have to do because something is preventing me from leaving this world.
Mm.
So I said, okay. So I so I said I will move on and see where this journey takes me. And one door would open, another door would close,
Hmm.
and things of that nature.
Hmm.
Now, why LMA? I've gone through many therapists, 13, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
repeating the same story until I got to the 13th, and I said, I'm not saying the story anymore.
Oh.
Because all I was doing was saying the same story. And I
Mm.
was just reinforcing that in my head.
Hmm.
I said, I'm going to stop. By LMA, Tim started bringing out reasons of why you are who you are. Why do you procrastinate? Why do you feel unworthy in regards to your life?
Mm.
So when he brought those little points out, I said, okay, he's a little bit different than what everybody else is. So I'm
Mm.
going to give him a chance.
Mhm.
Now, yes, I paid the full price.
Mhm.
Did I have the same doubts right after? Of course I had the same. You just, you just, you got that hesitation of doubt.
Yeah.
Why did I have that hesitation? Because beforehand, there were two other organizations. One was a business organization. The other one was a voiceover organization. One asked for $15,000. And I said, whoa, you're asking me $15,000, but I have no idea what your product is.
Mm.
And I don't feel confident that you're trying to sell me on something when I already know that you just told me that the commission for the person on the other line is $4,000. So why do I want to do that?
Mhm. Mhm.
Then the one after that was being a voiceover, learning about voiceover. So I put up uh, $5,000. But then my mind said, you're not ready for this. You're about to move. You're going to be in the middle of so much chaos that you're not going to have time to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
So I backed out.
Well.
But then Tim came along.
Mm.
And then I said, is this the right time? And I said, but there's no such thing as the right time.
Mm.
Now is the right time because he popped up.
Right.
So I decided to go forward with it.
Beautiful.
When I did
Oh,
go forward with it, I went in until I came across that stumbling block.
brilliant.
And then I said, oh my goodness. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say surprised you the most or made you the most happiest about what you've experienced on board LMA so far?
Actually, the community. When you have those live events with the other day in regards to the people around the world where you go into little chat rooms,
Mm.
okay? Um, it's not that I consider myself anything special, but when I'm able to listen and hear the personalities of other people and what they go, they're no different than me,
Mm.
okay? But for me, I feel like I've gone beyond the door of
Mm.
my own development in order to listen to their uh,
Beautiful.
present moments.
Beautiful.
Okay. Am I optimistic now more than I was before? Yes. Because
Mm.
in the last 4 months, since I decided to make this move, I didn't believe in goal setting, but I achieved every single goal that I actually verbally would say to myself, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And every single goal materialized without me recognizing, oh, that happened. Oh, this is happening. Oh,
Fab.
good.
Fab.
It was just interesting.
And specifically, what would you say now has been the biggest benefit that you've experienced from LMA since being on board, what you've experienced going through the fast track? What would you say has been the biggest benefit that you've experienced from LMA?
The biggest benefit for me is an awareness
Mm.
of my own self being, of everything that I've had to look back in my past and really understand that my vocabulary and my experiences all were where I used to blame the world. I now see that those were my survival points.
Mm.
That's how I survived in regards to where I'm at now.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, where I look at society and I look at other people that may have been in my situation.
Yeah.
And many of them probably wouldn't have survived.
Mm.
And many of them are probably on the street corners, sticking the needle in their arms or just really ending their lives. And even though I got to that point, for some reason, I don't know. I don't know why I have been set aside to continue this journey and not to do those things. My brother did. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He served in the military. He was a smart guy, but he still did this. My sister, who's 1 year older than me, she got trapped in her past. She never grew up. She just stayed there.
Wow.
And I remember one time my mother, um, because my sister one day wanted to go to church, and my mother was tired that my sister would cry in church. So one day she said, "You're not going to church." And one day my sister said, "I am going to church."
Mm.
And by her own simple action, the next day, my mother took her to Bellevue Hospital and put her in the psychiatric ward.
Mm.
And and I asked my sister, "Why were you in the psychiatric ward for so long?" And she simply said, "Because I was so afraid of her that it was better for me to stay with the crazy people than to go back home." And she never left. Not that she's crazy, but she never left and never aspired to be what she could have been, because she was a musician. She was an artist. She had all the talents
Mm.
more than me and my brother would have had.
Wow. Wow.
And she would dabble. She, I used to encourage her to do her art.
Mm. Mm.
And later on in years,
Mm.
probably within the past 5 or 6 years, she started her art.
Mm.
She actually was able to sell her art in an auction where somebody paid $5,000
Mm.
to buy a piece of her painting.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow.
But what I recognize
Yeah.
is that I didn't stay where I could have stayed
Yeah.
with the rest of them.
Well, thank you for sharing, Alan. It's been a very inspiring story just listening to you here. I'm fully engrossed, and I'm so grateful that you came across LMA and we're here now at this point. And just to wrap up here and conclude, I would just love to ask you, from your experience, what you've gone through, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe listening right now, who's maybe on the fence about joining the LMA program? You said you've been through 13 therapists, been on different courses, different development. What would you say to someone who's maybe listening right now, looking for that last lifeline to change their life? What would you say?
Open your mind. Open your mind and see the reality of your life. Don't surrender to your life. Open your mind. Explore. Look at all the avenues that is available to you, and don't close your mind. Okay? Because and you can act and believe that you can come out of it.
Mm.
Okay?
Mhm.
I mean, I at one point surrendered myself to believe that I was going to remain a guy who sat in his apartment and just to distract myself, turn on the TV.
Mm.
Why was that? Because that was my normal when I was a kid. That
Yeah.
was my escape from all the chaos around.
Yeah.
That was it. I was isolated.
Oh,
Why? For some reason, the universe doesn't allow me to isolate.
oh,
Okay.
mm,
I'm a Mason,
mm,
something that I used to hear about,
mm,
but fate brought me to become a Mason with people of integrity.
mm,
I'm
mm.
surrounded by people with integrity. So
Beautiful.
I'm glad of that. So Tim, I suspect because he's helped so many people, is a person of integrity.
Mm.
And I'm glad that I'm actually following this. I'm also going to be in WCA in February.
Wow.
All right. Something that I didn't expect is I signed up for 2026.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
I said to myself, well, 2026 is pretty long.
Mm,
But Alice said, we have one opening in February of 2025. And I said, I think that's more reasonable for me.
mm.
Even though I've never traveled out of the United States
Wow.
on my own since
Wow.
the military.
Wow.
But
Beautiful.
this will be a doubleheader. Traveling to a foreign country on my own and going to WCA and being in the company of other people to experience what WCA is all about. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, Alan, I'm so glad that you've came on here to share your experience with us, and thanks for taking the time to share such an inspiring story. And we're excited for the continued growth and development of what's yet to come too as well. It's been
Yes.
speaking with you.